I'm Mike Troy, editor of Retail Leader. Thank you for joining us. I'm here with Chris Morley, president of Nielsen USA. We're at the FMI Midwinter Executive Conference in the Retail Leader and Progressive Grocer live video studio. Welcome, Chris. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So this has been an interesting meeting because Nielsen has done a lot of work with FMI on a landmark research project. Tell us a little about that relationship, how that got started, and kind of what you've done so far.
Okay. Well, after I guess lots of discussions with retailers and manufacturers, given one of the biggest topics in retail at the moment is e-commerce, the kind of omni-channel environment that's emerging in the US, as is in many parts of the world, we thought it'd be a great opportunity for FMI and Nielsen to work together on some groundbreaking research in that area to try to help inform the industry in a number of ways. So we released the first tranche of research at the event, had a great panel with some of the industry leaders, both from the retail and the manufacturer side, and some kind of specialists from the replenishment area, very relevant to e-commerce. And as part of that program, we're also giving retailers and manufacturers the opportunity to first benchmark themselves in terms of readiness for that environment versus their peers, and then we'll also move into an opportunity over the 3 years of this program, not only to release more research, but also to kind of help them measure their improvement along their journey to succeeding in the environment that is omnichannel.
You mentioned the initial results. Can you touch on some of the high-level findings that were shared with the folks that are here?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So first and foremost, we tried to size, just how big could digital commerce be for the food industry specifically. And there are a number of predictions out there. At the highest end, we said it could reach about $100 billion. So for food products alone, that would...
$100 billion.
That's pretty much a quarter of the marketplace by 2025.
Which is not that far away.
Which is not that far away. So that's like just to get out there, just how significant change, how much of a step change in the environment that would be. But interestingly, and very great discussion on the topic was that that doesn't spell the death knell for stores. It's not people necessarily switching from buying in-store to buying online. Actually, what the research showed was that a third of those consumers who are already purchasing a reasonable amount of CPG products online are visiting stores more. And so the discussion really focused around pure play retailers who may need to build physical presence in stores to succeed in an omni-channel environment where it's really the repertoire of on and offline that shoppers are using, versus bricks and mortar retailers having an offer that complements that, whether it be click and collect or whether it be some elements of pure play. And so, that really was the core of the kind of discussion that took place yesterday.
So we can't really look at that 100 billion and say that's all coming, it's not a zero-sum game necessarily, that's not all coming out of brick and mortar. That could be brick and mortar selling more online.
Absolutely, it could. And we said, so which categories are most likely to be affected? We did some of the, some research on that too. And I guess in general terms, clearly the largest impact will be in the center of the store. So when you already see the penetration building impressively where click and collect or pure play is online, it tends to be the center store products, probably representing about 40% of the volume of stores on average, where a lot of the action will be. And clearly that gives, as you described, brick and mortar retailers to move or to be successful in selling those products online, but also gives rise perhaps to the reformulation, a different use of space in store. So the perimeter, fresh food, and the a lot of discussions about how service, personal service in store versus the convenience of online could work. And then I think that the conversation turned very much to how do you engage in a 360-degree manner before, during, and after shopping this consumer that plays across that repertoire.
We're in for a lot of change between now and 2025, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was a call to action, not just illustrated by Nielsen and FMI, but also called out by
and
some of the
work
leaders
to come on the topic, because you said it's a 3-year undertaking. So we've got phase 2 and phase 3 coming.
No, that's right. And the first call to action was to encourage everyone to go to the kind of microsite that's dedicated to the project and allow themselves to kind of benchmark their companies.
So what is the microsite? Is there a web address that you can share? Do you know what that is? Is it FMI's website?
Yeah, you can find that through FMI on Nielsen's website.
Okay.
In both cases, that'll lead you to the microsite. And then when you go on there, you can take the questionnaire to help you kind of benchmark yourself in terms of state of readiness of your company with your peers and get the results against that from all the other companies that would take the benchmark. You can also download the reports and a bit more detail on some of the information that we shared.
All right, so that's awesome. That's amazing research that you guys did. So let's end on this. Talk a little bit about the conversations that you're having with folks here, because you're meeting with lots of retailers and CPG companies.
That's right.
Is there an overriding theme on their mind? Is it this digital journey and this transformation, or are there other topics that you're hearing folks expressing concern about?
Yeah, it is. I mean, certainly e-commerce is a very hot topic. I mean, it would have, I think, been on everyone's mind whether or not we'd launch this research and run the workshop. But a couple of other things that have been discussed as well. The opportunity or the capability that Nielsen now has across linear TV all the way through digital to measure media in a consistent way across those different devices. So we used to measure ratings, eyeballs on TV, and online used to be measured on a volume basis. So a comparable measure, a measure that measures the ads separate to the content. So just being able, therefore, to use that media consumption information in a way that is more connected to small groups or individuals' behaviour. So a lot of discussion about personalisation, how we can connect the watch and the buy, if you like, the in-store shopping behaviour with media consumption and e-commerce behaviour online. So that was a hot topic of discussion. I think there were lots of sessions around personalisation. So just in the last kind of 18 months, I think the industry has made great strides in actually being able to take that from PowerPoint to specific use cases. So that was one. A number of other conversations have been around Nielsen putting forward that its platform, the connected system, the way in which it brings that watch and buy data that it collects to life in a very open and collaborative way was part of many discussions with our clients in the sessions that we had. So for example, we announced recently a connected partner in a strategic alliance with a company called Label Insight, who take kind of the scientific ingredients on products and decode them to an incredibly granular level. So we're talking tens of thousands of attributes that then you can overlay on the Nielsen data. It goes back into the connected system, and talking to lots of clients about giving them the opportunity, whether they're a retailer or a manufacturer, to measure sustainability, micro trends that may become the new trends in health and wellness, for example.
Yeah, well, you're feeding into a whole other theme there about transparency in addition to personalization.
That's right.
So we'll save that for another time.
Absolutely.
We'll get into that later. But it sounds like Nielsen's on its own digital journey as much as your customers are.
Absolutely, for sure.
So.
I think imperative for us to be able to create the types of insights and engage with that shopper where he or she shops in a more personal way.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks
for coming in.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you.